Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, what's good? It's Batman, and we're going to be watching a video from NC Hammer 23. I'll make sure to put his YouTube down in the description down below. He's one of the GOATs of Naruto content, has an incredible amount of subscribers, has incredible Naruto content. All his videos are really, really interesting and very intriguing titles, you name it. Very, very unique, interesting topics for Naruto. He also just started doing Versus Battle series of videos as well, so that's going to be really interesting. We'll definitely be reacting to one of them that he has done. I believe it's Itachi versus Minato, which is a very, very contentious topic. Everybody always has all kinds of, arguments and opinions, and name it. Some people think it just Minato slams. Some people think Itachi slams. Some people think it could just go either way, whatever. So we'll eventually definitely check out that video because I am very intrigued and curious to see his thoughts on Minato versus Itachi and who would win, what forms he's going to even be talking about, you name it. So that's pretty cool. But this video is actually interesting. This is kind of similar to a video that, if you all didn't know, Six came out with a video called Is Minato a Psychopath? And that was a whole other thing, a whole other can of worms, and it's a really interesting video. I watched it on my own time. I never really reacted or did a recording because I didn't feel like it was necessary enough. But I did want to react to this because what the title is Minato Stupid. Now, we all know at the end of the day, Minato is not an idiot. We all know he's extremely intelligent. He was immediately able to come up with countermeasures against Obito with his combo and you name it. Be able to deal with him in the Ninetails, able to create the Rising Gun, master Flying Raijin, Shadow Clones, you name it. Clearly has a Kage level intellect to even be chosen as a Hokage candidate. Extensive knowledge on everything overall. He had the best scores in the written test and educational, exams, you name it. So he was literally the smartest fucking person in the village, which is a feat itself. So Minato is no joke. He's extremely intelligent. He's absolutely incredibly smart. So what I'm assuming from what he's saying is Minato stupid is clearly there's certain points in the story or certain writing or certain things that Minato may have done, okay, that he just either just didn't agree with or he thought was really silly or weird, whatever the case may be, you name it, etc. And the reason why this is interesting to me, and I'm curious to see what he says, you name it, and go from there, is because eventually I'm going to be coming out with my own video that I've been saying for a good while, but I am coming out with it, and I do apologize. I'm actually going to be working on that video today as I'm making this recording for this Naruto video. But I'm going to be doing a video on Obito and my honest thoughts and opinion of the character and his writing and overall, the things I love and basically hate about him. And obviously I'm going to go over all the things I love about him, you name it, all the pros, and then I'm going to go over some things that kind of didn't really make sense, that I kind of hated about him in a way, because it was like, for how intelligent he is and his whole goal and his whole mindset, you name it, millions of fucking times Obito could have been able to accomplish that goal and become successful with it, and he didn't because he was being aka stupid. So I can kind of understand and relate to what type of direction or what he's going to do with this video. So it's really interesting. But it's a pretty long video, so we're going to go right into it. I don't want to take too long. And, it's not too long. It's 16 minutes long. But normally his videos are about 30 minutes long, which is why it's pretty long. But so it's not too long a video. It's about 16 minutes. So we're going to get straight into it. We're going to dive into it. And let's enjoy. Let's get it.
Video is brought to you by Squarespace. So one of the most prevalent...
All right, we don't got time for sponsors.
Get to explaining it. Building a website was... to place audience will appreciate how beautiful your website and your... If you like what you see, go to Squarespace. Split Kurama in half, put half in Kushina, and put half in Naruto. And these are all really good questions, because the answer isn't super straightforward. It was in chapter 503 of the manga that we got the best look into Minato sealing away Kurama on the night of Naruto's birth. On this night, we see that Minato decides to seal the rest of Kushina's chakra inside of Naruto using the 8 trigram seal. The 8 trigram seal is an Uzumaki Fuin jutsu. It's a 4-symbol seal that is used to seal a large entity inside of a person. However, should you use 2 4-symbol seals, you get the 8 trigram seal. Now, what's specific about Naruto's 8 trigram seal is the fact that the 2 4 symbols do not overlap. On the outside edges of Naruto's 8 trigram seal, there's a gap. And since there's a gap, this allows the entity that's been sealed into the human to have their chakra intermix with their host. However, should hypothetically both sides of this 8 trigram seal be closed, that wouldn't be possible. You see, Minato understood that Kushina was going to die. Once you have a tail beast extracted from you as a Jinchuriki, it basically signals your death. The only reason that Kushina didn't die immediately is because she was an Uzumaki and had an insane amount of life force. The question that a lot of people bring up is that Naruto was able to have Kurama sealed back into him after having Kurama pulled out of him, and that saved his life. So why couldn't Minato do this with Kurama and Kushina? While there's no technical technical concrete answer, the widely accepted explanation is that Kushina's 8 trigram seal was closed, meaning
Christmas tree.
that Kushina and Kurama's chakra never intermixed, which makes sense when we consider the fact that Kushina almost definitely never used Kurama's chakra. As for both Kushina and Mito, it was more about taming Kurama and completely subjecting him to their will than using his power to become the child of prophecy. And thus when Naruto had Kurama pulled out of him, because Kurama and Naruto's chakra had been intermingled for a long time, there was still Kurama's chakra residing inside of him, which acted as a sort of crutch until Naruto could get more of Kurama back inside of him. However, since this wasn't the situation for Kushina, having her Bijou extracted...
Now, to be fair, that makes sense in a way, and you name it, and that's understandable. Or you could just still be like, well, no, if it could happen with Naruto, it should have been able to happen with Kushina. Same shit, whatever. You know what I mean? I think it's equally to say it's fair on both ends. Maybe it was obviously either just a plot hole or just something Kishima obviously didn't want to do because that would defeat the whole purpose. And then Naruto would still have parents, and that would change the story drastically, you name it, and the whole writing. So obviously you can go from X, Y, and Z of why that more than likely was the case. But if we look at everything objectively, you name it, they were able to do it in Naruto, so why can't they not do it with Kushina? But with that line of evidence and logic, you name it, I understand what he's saying, but obviously most of it is subjective, and there's nothing concrete to prove that either. So I get what he's saying, but in a sense, you could still go either way. So either one works, they're equally possible, whatever, that's fine, doesn't matter. But it is interesting. It is interesting to think about. There's plenty of people that are like, well, why didn't he just put it back in fucking Kushina? Whatever. Or then it gets to the point where he's like, well, why did he think it was necessary to use the the Reaper Death Seal? And when he could have just immediately put the fucking ninetails inside of Naruto like he did in the fucking war, like what he was gonna do. Like he just had the chakra and was just gonna put it back in there. He didn't have to use the Reaper Death Seal. So what we can also conclude is because due to Minato's chakra levels, and how much chakra he had, and you name it, that he wasn't able to do like a simple transmission of just giving the ninetails to Naruto, whatever. Or if we actually look at what the statement's actually technically, what was actually really said as well is that it'd be literally like impossible to seal that much chakra inside of Naruto. Like he could only be able to do half, so I believe that was also stated in support as well. But regardless, like let's say, whatever, when he does it to Naruto, it's only half. So to be fair, we're talking about the full. So that is also different in a sense, but either way, however you want to take it, maybe that's a possibility of why he couldn't do what he did with Naruto, because for one, it's either full, or two, he just didn't have enough chakra or whatever, or control, you name it, and he had to do the Reaper Death Seal to split it and to seal both ends, you name it. So I don't know, but it is what it is. But let's continue.
Was gonna kill her, which is why Minato elected to take the rest of her chakra and seal it inside of Naruto. And even if hypothetically Kushina would be able to re-receive Kurama, the transformation of having Kurama re-implanted back into her could have killed her, considering how damaged and how low her life force was at that current moment. Becoming a Jinchuriki is an incredibly taxing process, and if they had placed Kurama into Kushina only for Kushina to die, then Kurama simply would have reappeared somewhere else unsealed once again. So now that we've answered the question of why didn't Minato put Kurama back into Kushina, we should answer the question, why didn't Minato split half of Kurama's chakra into Kushina and Naruto? That way Kushina undergoes less of a transformation because she's only half of the Jinchuriki she was before, and Naruto gets the other half of the chakra. This way, even if Kushina does die from having Kurama re-implanted back into her, the Kurama that will appear is only half of Kurama. Unfortunately, this also wasn't an option. See, while Minato did learn the 8 trigram seal from Kushina and the rest of the Uzumakis, he didn't have a Fuin Jutsu strong enough to seal away the entirety of Kurama outside of Reaper Death Seal. Well, technically, even Reaper Death Seal wasn't enough to seal away the entirety of Kurama. See, Minato understood the restrictions of Reaper Death Seal, that being that you can only pull out as much soul as you have chakra in comparison to the person whose soul you're pulling out. That is to say, in the moment of Minato using Reaper Death Seal against Kurama, he had half the amount of chakra that Kurama had, and thus would only ever be able to pull out half of Kurama's soul. However, this was a necessity for Minato because he understood that Naruto would only be able to take half of Kurama, being an infant, and Minato understood that there was only one way that he could split Kurama into two, which was the Reaper Death Seal. Because Minato understood that once he got a hold of Kurama's soul, he would be able to split it into the yin and yang halves, which means that in the scenario that Minato wanted to put at least half of Kurama into Naruto, he would have to seal the other half of Kurama using the Reaper Death Seal. Otherwise, he would have had to use the 8 trigram seal to put the entirety of Kurama into Naruto, which would have killed him, or the entirety of Kurama into Kushina, which probably would have killed her.
Okay, Nick, why didn't he just put Kurama in himself then?
That's very hard to do, bordering on impossible. Becoming a Jinchuriki is an incredibly painful, tedious, and complicated process, which takes as much energy from the person the tailed beast is being sealed into as from the person who's sealing the tailed beast. To seal the strongest tailed beast on Earth in its entirety into you is a crazy ask. So genuinely, as Minato was standing there staring down Kurama, who was said to be stronger than all the other tailed beasts combined, he had his dying wife, who he couldn't seal Kurama back into, he had himself, who he had no chance of sealing Kurama into, and a baby. So Minato had to make the decision to seal half of Kurama away forever, as he stated, and placing the other half of Kurama into his child. Minato was also spurred on by something that Jiraiya had told him. See, when Jiraiya was a younger man, he went to the great Toad Sage, a toad who's been around for thousands of years, a toad who taught Hagoromo Toad Sage Mode. And over those thousands of years, as the toad has aged, he's become more of a sage. So much so that he's able to tell the future with 100%.
So that right there goes to show that the NC Hammer 23 does consider anime canon, you name it, which nothing wrong with that. And you know, that at the very least goes to show that he has some form amount of brain cells. I'm sorry, to anyone that really thinks that thinks the anime is not canon or anything like that, or you know, movies or fucking or the even the games, and that literally have the same exact fucking narrative showing, you name it. It's just beyond me. It's absolutely beyond me and just baffling. Like it's so disingenuous and so ignorant, and just to come out and just be like, oh well, yeah, no, it's not canon, whatever. Even if it's showing the exact fucking same thing, it's not canon. What are you talking about? Like, it's like, bro, like who made Naruto? Kishimoto, who supervised the production and literally gave permission legally, and you name it, to make the adaptations of the manga with anime. Kishimoto. Like, there's just so much of showing, like, evidence, and you name it, with Kishimoto, you know, of why the anime is canon, you name it, blah, blah. Like, it's the same shit with Dragon Ball, where everybody was fighting about that, whether the anime was considered canon, and literally the creator of Dragon Ball got so pissed off about it that he literally had to come up with a statement and say, yes, the anime is canon, you dinglings, like, that should be fucking, like, obvious as day, not rocket science. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? You know, so, like, it's really, really childish. But anyways, that's not what this video is going to be about, of whether Naruto's anime is canon or any of that. I'm just pointing that out there. At least he does consider it canon, because he wouldn't mention that if he didn't. Which is true. Hagoromo did learn Sage Mode.
Though his predictions are a little vague. And this great Toad Sage told Jiraiya that he would be the teacher to the Child of Prophecy, that would either lead the world into flames or save it from them. For numerous years, Jiraiya had thought that Minato was the Child of Prophecy. Well, first he thought Nagato was the Child of Prophecy, and then he thought Minato was the Child of Prophecy, and eventually he got to Naruto. But listen, batting 33% is Hall of Fame numbers in the MLB. But since Jiraiya had thought that Minato was the Child of Prophecy because of all the things he was picking up so quickly and his battle prowess, and also obviously his very cheery demeanor that made him a natural leader, he told Minato about the prophecy, and specifically about how Jiraiya thought that Minato might be the Child of Prophecy, born to pull the world from the ashes. However, as Minato stared down Kurama, he realized that he himself was not the Child of Prophecy. You see, in that moment, Minato understood he needed to die, and that the Child of Prophecy wouldn't die before they saved the world. And thus, as he stared down at his child, he realized Naruto was the Child of Prophecy. By the way, I know earlier I said Naruto had the yin part of Kurama sealed into him as child, but it was actually the yang part, because the yang part's the evil part and the yin part's the good part. Not perfect! And thus Minato figured that Naruto would be able to use Kurama's chakra to become the Child of Prophecy. That Naruto, with the combined strength of Kurama, would be able to pull the world from the ashes. And that even half of Kurama would be more than enough to accomplish this feat. This is why Naruto's 8 trigram seal is the way that it is, with the 2 individual force symbols not touching. Minato wanted Kurama's chakra to seep into Naruto's body, because Minato believed that only in combination would they ever achieve the power necessary to truly become the Child of Prophecy. But here's the thing. If Minato had sealed the entirety of Kurama into Naruto, this leak of chakra from the seal would have killed Naruto by the time he turned 8 years old. It was only because there was only half of Kurama in Naruto that his body could deal with this seepage of chakra. And it's a miracle he was even able to deal with that. Because the way that this 8 trigram seal works when it's open is that it does allow you to pull chakra from your tailed beast. But the more chakra you pull from your tailed beast, technically the looser that seal gets. And should you ever use too much chakra from your tailed beast can escape. So knowing the risks of this, why would Minato put the evil half of Kurama into his infant son? Well, unfortunately, approaching this question, looking at the halves of Kurama as good and evil, is the wrong way to approach it. And this is why the narrative around this decision has got so gunked up. You see, it's not about good and evil when you're talking about the halves of Kurama. It's yin and yang, and there's nothing inherently evil about either yin or yang chakra. And in fact, we have definitions for both yin and yang chakra within the confines of Naruto. Yang chakra refers to the manipulation of physical matter using chakra. Things like the Akamishi's partial expansion jutsu, how they're able to increase the size of their bodies using chakra, meaning that yang chakra usually pertains to stamina and physical matter, while yin chakra usually pertains to imagination. Yin chakra is the manipulation of non-real things, or at least non-physical things. Things like the Nara clan's shadow jutsu and genjutsu are both great examples of yin chakra, specifically yin jutsu. So when we approach the decision to split Kurama and seal one half inside of Naruto as good and evil, the decision doesn't make any sense. But when we approach the situation in the same way that Minato probably would have approached the situation, with a full head of knowledge on how yin and yang chakra work, we would understand that Minato didn't split Kurama in half and give Naruto the evil side. He gave him the yang side, the side more associated with having a physical form, the side associated with stamina and strength. If you were to hope that your child, which you were sealing a power away into, would access this power and use it for their own strength, and you assumed that that child would be anything like you or his mother, who are both very physical type attackers, except for Kushina's adamantite chains, you would give that child the
You know what the title of this video should have been, bro? It should have been like how the nine-tailed seal works. Or the nine-tailed seal, full explanation. like I'm sorry, but like I can understand why he would like say for like this video of what we've seen so far, and for the title like is Minato stupid, whatever. Like, you know, like I get it, but like I don't know. This isn't really directly about Minato. Like I was expecting like a full-on video analysis of like his life, the choices he made, even all that good stuff. What the whole time he's just been talking about the seal with the nine tails and what he decided to do. Like what? Like I'm just being real with you. I feel like the title is a little bit misleading, but whatever, it's fine. Like it makes sense because of what's being discussed in him. Like I get it, but at the same time, I was expecting a full-on actual Minato video, not all about the nine-tailed seal and whether how he decided how to do it was right or wrong, and just the schematics of all that and how that worked. Like it's a really weird dissect, in my opinion, but whatever.
Since the yang side of Kurama would most likely be able to meld with Naruto's chakra better. To put it in super layman terms here, putting the yin side of Kurama inside of Naruto's body would be like leveling intelligence, while putting the yang side of Kurama into Naruto's body would be like leveling strength. Since neither Minato or Kushina were particular genjutsu masters, it makes sense on Minato's part to assume that his son won't be either. And thus, if a power-up can be given that will directly correlate to Naruto's strength in the field he's probably most likely comfortable fighting in, that should be the power-up chosen. But let's assume for 2 seconds that Minato did understand what he was doing. Minato understood that the yin half of Kurama would be the nice half and the yang half would be evil, since the yang half would be a more physical representation of Kurama as a whole, which is a daunting, terrifying demon fox used by Madara one time a long time ago to try to destroy Konoha, and currently on a rampage trying to do the same thing once again. While the yin half might be a deeper internalized version of Kurama that actually doesn't hate humans as much as it outwardly shows. This isn't the craziest assumption of all time. The outward physical appearance of Kurama is evil, while his inner self isn't. To assume that Minato maybe understood this isn't the craziest thing of all time. And if Minato did understand this in that one circumstance, why would he then choose to put the evil side of Kurama into his infant? Well, that might have to do with Killer Bee. You see, we're all aware that Minato was a war hero of the Third Great Shinobi World War, a war where Konoha found itself pitted up against every other single major hidden ninja village. And in this war, Minato and his team come toe-to-toe against A, the future fourth Raikage, and Killer Bee. And in this battle, Minato battles against A and Killer Bee by himself, remarking to A about how he has a great family, referring to Killer Bee, and seeing from Killer Bee, who tries to catch Minato with one of Gyuki's tentacles, that Killer Bee is able to use a partial transformation of Gyuki Gyuki, implying that Killer Bee has found a full mastery of his Jinchuriki level with Gyuki, which is not to be undersold. Gyuki canonically is probably the hardest-tailed beast to be a Jinchuriki of. The Hidden Cloud for generations could not find a Jinchuriki that was able to fully control him. Most notably, Blue Bee would have Gyuki rage out of him almost constantly. In fact, the 3rd and 4th Raikages had to make an entire division of ninjas in order to battle against Gyuki whenever this happened. But Killer Bee had found harmony with Gyuki, and Minato had not only seen this, he had commented on it, complimenting Killer Bee for his battle prowess, telling him he has the moves of a true shinobi killer, and saying that even though he's his enemy, he likes Killer Bee. In this moment, Minato saw that any tailed beast can be mastered and even worked with, and even though he didn't know it in the moment, that would affect him much further down the line. You see, it was Minato's experience
definitely had an impact in his decision to really believe Naruto could master the Nine Tails power. It makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, if Bee could do it with the 8 tails, the second strongest, like, my body's not cooperating at all. Like, why the fuck would, you know what I mean? Like, come on now. It's a very simple connected dots type of situation here.
Killer Bee, and seeing the odds that he had conquered, that made him realize even if he did know that the Yang half he was sealing into Naruto was evil, that Naruto would be able to overcome it. And not only could Naruto overcome it, he could become one with Kurama and use that power for good, so long as he had people around him that could guide him. A lesson he told to A, specifically telling him to look at Killer Bee and find out what Killer Bee truly wants. Otherwise, their family might fall apart. See, Minato deciding to seal half of Kurama within Naruto was not a ones and zeros decision. It was a decision made by using years of experience and running through multiple different scenarios, trying to find what would be best for both the village and his family. And it was never about good and evil. It was about yin and yang. So Minato didn't make the wrong decision or even a weird decision. He made a decision based on faith that his child would become the child of prophecy, and that his child would gain the level of bond with his tailed beast as a man he once met from the Hidden Cloud. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think Minato made the right decision? Do you think there was another decision he could have made? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell.
All right. Pretty good video. I like it. Enjoyable. Really interesting. You know, thoughts overall, if I'm being completely honest with you, you know, I didn't expect it to be mainly prioritized and focused on the whole sealing aspect with the Nine Tails and Naruto. And at that particular moment, I thought it was going to be a general analysis of the character. But, you know, either way, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It was still a pretty good video. And I like how he basically explained. Most of it, I'm going to be completely honest with you, is very subjective. Obviously, most of everything he's saying is not concrete or like, you know, like for X, Y, and Z. Like, there's a lot of points and moments where he was basically just giving off his interpretations or understanding of things, you name it. But, you know, it was really interesting. And, you know, as always, you guys let me know what you think as well. You know, was there anything more different he could have done? Should he have done anything different at that particular moment when it came to Kushina and Naruto there? You know, what are your thoughts overall? Yeah, that's basically about it. But it was a really interesting video. Basically a lower top video. You know, kind of just going on some deeper explanations about the whole thing with the Nine Tails and the seal and why Minato did what he did at that moment and whatnot. So, but yeah, we'll kind of end it here, and I enjoyed it. As always, guys, see you in the next video. Peace.